Let's talk about one of the biggest challenges in, well, pretty much any workplace: turning the chaos of disconnected teams into a perfectly tuned orchestra. Today, we're going to hand you the conductor's baton. Oh, you know that feeling, right? It's like engineering is over there meticulously composing a classical piece, marketing is blasting a pop anthem, and sales, they're off in the corner riffing on a jazz solo. It's loud, it's messy, and absolutely nothing gets done. That feeling, that chaos, that's what we're here to fix.
So let's just put it side by side. On the left, you've got the world of functional silos. It's just a mess, a total cacophony. It's all friction and rework, and everything moves at a snail's pace. But on the right, that's the goal. A symphony of collaboration that creates alignment, sparks real innovation, and moves fast. We want to get you from the left side to the right.
Okay, but first things first, before we can fix anything, we have to really understand the problem. So let's dive in and get specific about what these silos actually are and the real damage they cause. So what even is a functional silo? Well, you can think of it like this. It's when different departments are basically operating in their own little bubbles, you know? Each one has its own goals, its own language, its own priorities, and there's almost zero real communication happening between them. It's an unintentional but absolutely guaranteed recipe for disaster. And the cost of this? Oh, it is huge. I mean, look at this list. These aren't just hypotheticals. They are the direct results of teams not talking. You get features built that nobody actually wants, marketing messages that have nothing to do with the real product, sales promising things that don't even exist. It's just a mess that leaves you with frustrated employees and, frankly, a massive competitive disadvantage.
All right, so enough about the problem. Let's start talking about the solution. It's time to step into the role of the conductor.
And this brings us to the big idea: cross-functional collaboration. Now, let's be super clear here. This is not just about being friendly with people on other teams. It's an intentional, structured process. It's about actively breaking down those walls so you can work towards one single shared goal. It's about creating something together that no single team could ever create on its own. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. Without the conductor's coordination, even talented musicians produce cacophony instead of symphony. See? That's the whole mindset. Your job isn't to play every instrument. You've got experts for that. Your job is to make sure all those brilliant experts are playing the same song at the same time to create something beautiful. So the big question is, how do you actually do that? How do you go from all that noise to actual music? Well, let's open up the conductor's toolkit and look at 3 really practical steps you can take right now. Here's the method. It's a 3-parter. First, you have to tune in. That means really understanding where everyone is coming from. Second, you write the sheet music, making sure everyone knows exactly what their part is. And third, the big one, you build trust, which is the invisible foundation that holds the entire performance together. Let's break them down. Step 1, tune in. And this is so crucial. Before you can lead anyone, you have to listen. Every single department, every team has its own goals, its own pressures, its own view of the world. Your very first job as a great conductor is to understand that world from their perspective. And this table is a perfect example, right? Just look at the completely different worlds engineering and sales live in. Engineering's goal is to build reliable, scalable stuff. They care about stability. What drives them crazy? Constantly changing priorities. Meanwhile, sales is laser-focused on hitting revenue targets, and their biggest frustration is when a feature they were promised doesn't ship on time. And here's the key. Neither of them is wrong. They're just playing different instruments. Real empathy is about deeply understanding both of their worlds. Okay, so once you really understand the players, it's time to write the sheet music. Why? Because the single biggest source of friction and chaos on any project is ambiguity. When people don't know what their part is or who's supposed to do what, you just get noise. It's as simple as that. Now, a simple tool like this RACI matrix can be an absolute game changer. It just forces everyone to be clear. For every single activity, you define who is responsible for doing the work, who is accountable, the one person who owns the outcome, who needs to be consulted for their expertise, and who just needs to be kept informed. Seriously, just doing this exercise can eliminate so much confusion and finger-pointing later on. But here's the thing. You can have all the empathy in the world, and you can have the clearest plans ever written, but if you don't have trust, none of it matters. Trust is the invisible architecture that lets talented people do their best work together, especially when things get tough.
And look, trust isn't some kind of magic. It's built through consistent, everyday actions. It comes from doing what you say you're going to do. It's being transparent about the why behind your decisions. It's about genuinely listening and respecting other people's expertise. And maybe the most important thing, it's about creating psychological safety, an environment where it's okay for people to disagree, to challenge ideas, and even to admit when they've made a mistake. That is how you build a real team.
Okay, so you've tuned in, you've written the sheet music, and you've built that solid foundation of trust. So what happens next? Let's talk about the payoff. Let's talk about what it sounds like when your orchestra is finally playing in perfect harmony.
Because when you get this right, the results aren't just a little better, they're transformative. This goes way beyond just feeling better at work. We're talking about huge, tangible benefits. We call it the symphony of success. Let's take a look.
Suddenly, the music just comes alive. You create better products because every voice was heard when writing the piece. You get faster execution because the handoffs between teams are seamless. Innovation just thrives because you're blending different ideas to create something totally new. And of course, with that comes greater efficiency and way more engagement from everyone involved. But the most important part? The entire orchestra becomes focused on playing for one single audience, the customer. That is the sound of success. So as we wrap this up, the question is really for you. The conductor's baton is officially in your hand. What is the very first note you're gonna play to bring your orchestra together and finally turn all that noise into a symphony? It's time to go make some music.